it kind of helped them advance. I mean, do you think this was a conspiracy?
Gotta go with Jacob Butter. Gotta go
No,
lefty.
we're talking about the players as tournament champions into the podcast.
There he is, right there.
Oh, he doesn't even know how to watch. Go to youtube.com and search Down Lane Podcast. What's up, bowlers? Welcome to Down Lane Podcast. We are streaming live from the lab at Town and Country Lanes. I'm your host, Kyle Haines, and with me is the assistant to the host, Anthony Scaccia.
It's great to be here today after a week off. I was trying to save the show. Kyle just, he's just not as he's not born different like I am. So it's tough.
You are different. That's for darn sure.
It's tough when, your brother-in-law, doesn't have that same tenacity and bite the nail.
Mm-hmm. Austin, how's it going tonight?
Oh, it's good.
Good.
No complaints.
There he is. Short and sweet. Not a lot of words. That was a good answer.
Is that what you like more than what I said? Is that what it is?
No, it's terrible for a podcast.
That's correct.
Thank God you guys have me.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get alerts from the channel. If you want to email us, you can check out downlanepod@gmail.com. We did get an email this week.
Go Eagles.
Last week.
Thank God they won.
And if you can't watch live, you can always download and listen via your favorite podcast service like Apple iTunes and the other one that I keep forgetting about. Spotify. That's the one. Man, what an idiot. What's up, Nick? What's up, Stephanos? What's up, Bones? How's everybody doing in the chat tonight? Thank you guys for all tuning in.
Is Anita out there?
I'm sure he'll let us know. So tonight, we're going to talk about a couple things. First, on the chopping block, I think we're going to debate a little bit. The internet world seems to think that possibly EJ Tackett is the greatest bowler of all time, the GOAT, if you will. Not sure how that would statistically work out, but we'll check that out. And then Austin brought to our attention the rankings in the Elite League Battle of the Brands and how some picks of bowlers maybe messed with the rankings. Not meaning like something went wrong, but picking certain bowlers or not picking certain bowlers really affected the rankings over the last couple of weeks. So, with that being said, how was your guys' week? 2 weeks. We got 2 weeks to catch up on.
Okay. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Monday, I shot 857.
For 4?
I don't know. I made that up. The next day, I shot 300 against my sixth sister. She cried the whole time as I beat her down into the ground.
Did you say sixth sister?
No, to my sister.
Oh.
Sorry, I got stuck here. Back of the throat. No. Then on Thursday, I proceeded to beat whoever I bowled. I bashed their brains in. I don't remember who that was. The week after, okay, so now, and then I think we bowled 2 times that weekend.
I don't remember now.
Did we bowl at Super Bowl doubles? We didn't talk about that.
Oh, right.
So we bowled 2 weekends, bowled decent the first day, then came in 9th. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit with my wife. Wow, the internet is real slow today. And then after that day, I bowled the next day and shot 10-15. I got beat every single game, 10-15 for 4 scratch. And then the next day, I lost every match of that one and shot 690. And now we're here. That's Thursday.
George Gorman, you shouldn't be so mean, but I appreciate the nice words. Chatting up with us instead of Devin.
Thank you.
We are that amazing.
I'm honored.
So we had Super Bowl doubles. I forgot about that.
We all bowled.
Yep. Anthony with Janelle.
Austin, how do I sound tonight? Been working on my radio voice.
Sound wonderful.
Thank you.
Joey bowled with Joey. Austin, you bowled with Joey, correct?
Correct.
And then I bowled with Nick, of course.
And it was your day.
It was almost our day.
It was your day.
It should have been.
It was your day.
100%. Yes.
I don't know what you guys do every year to get Daryl to put out this magical pattern that works for you guys every time you bowl there. But whatever you're doing, let me know because I want to win one time.
I don't know where they got room from.
You had your chance last year when it was 36 or 38 feet or something, but Matt beat you guys. Matt and Natasha beat you guys.
Yeah, but that was
Actually-
another lefty.
The year you
That's what I'm
won.
saying. That was his chance.
The year you won.
Which one? Which year?
The year you won. I can't remember what year it was. I told Nick Harris what to do. You guys
Here we
won.
go again.
So I have partial credit to that title.
We'll give you 10th
And-
credit because I already told
and
him that
hold
same
on.
thing.
You are not done. I am not done with my thought yet. And you know who came in second place?
Am I looking at him?
You are.
Yeah.
So you know what? If it wasn't for me, I would have won. I would have been a champion of that.
I
That's what I'm saying.
already given him the advice. It's not my fault that he needed
He doesn't trust
an
you.
extra push.
He doesn't trust you. And guess what? Now Daryl has to put me on your pair every year so I can make sure that he makes the right move every year. And I didn't help him the last game this year, and look what happened.
That's true.
I will.
It's true. And we were crossing with you.
That's exactly what I said. I bowl with you guys every year
Oh.
now.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
to watch you guys,
Yeah.
and I have to tell you guys how to play lanes because the righties apparently
Okay.
have no idea how to
Nick-
play lanes.
Nick carried absolutely everything until the last game.
The last game was
so
wild.
the
That was
last
very
game we
wild.
hit 1 and 2. Where in our
I made the 7-10.
oh that's right.
Yeah, Anthony made
Oh,
a
we
7-10.
didn't even get it on video. That's right.
Yeah.
You made a tournament 7-10.
I made a
That's
tournament
legit.
7-10 on lane 2.
And that was to get into a cash spot.
Yes, it was to catch. Well, who knows what 10th was? I don't know what 10th was, but yes, it was to get a cash spot. Is that the clown one?
Yeah.
Is that the clown? I want to be the clown. Or boo me like you did with Verity. Yeah, I made the 7-10. Anyways, lane 2, 1 and 2, back to Kyle. They had the lead going in the last game. Give us their summary.
Lane 1 and 2 was tough. I don't know if anybody. I'm not blaming the lane. I'm blaming the fact that basically what happened was they were definitely different, and both Nick and I think, tried to play conservatively since we had the lead and we wanted to not make any drastic changes.
You got a bowl with no fear.
And well, we weren't afraid, but we just didn't want to go into a blind change.
You
'cause
just said
sounds like
you bowled
fear.
conservative. Fear.
conservative doesn't mean fear.
Well, it says that.
It
means
means
that
you
to
don't
me.
want to make a bad
we
mistake.
we tried to keep it
Bold with
where
fear.
we knew it was as far as the shot, and then when you have 3 frames to bowl or whatever, 4 frames to bowl,
Actually, you actually have 6.
5. I had 5.
Oh, yeah, 5.
Nick
Excuse
had,
me. It's
yeah.
10. 5. You have 5 shots.
Yeah.
And if
But
you
then
can't
if you
figure
have
out one
3
lane,
But if you have 3 bad frames, the game's half over.
don't have 3 bad frames.
I'm just saying.
Well, if you move once, I mean,
have 2 bad frames.
Oh, so that was the thing is both of us experienced kind of the same thing. Threw the ball, hooked, moved left, and hooked again, which didn't help.
if you guys hit it hard,
Sorry to call you out again, Kyle, but Devin
Boom.
agrees.
Roasted.
So after we were talking afterward, we should have just made ball changes and moved left. But
Instead of bowling in fear.
right, we were shaking. You're right.
I was on that pair. Dude, it was like a freaking earthquake when you guys got up there. The
Okay.
whole freaking place
Are you calling
was
us
shaking.
fat?
Well, that and I mean, Jesus. I mean, the whole place was shaking because your knees were shaking so hard.
Oh, okay.
And the ball return was like the friggin' ball. The belt was like going back and forth, and it was serpentining almost. It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when I got up there, like, man, this guy's good. We're gonna fall down just because he's a freaking animal. And then that's how I'm in 7-10.
That's right. When you were up for the 7-10, I thought you were aiming for the 7-pin because of where your feet were and how your body position was. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden at the foul line, you threw it dead straight down the lane
Yeah.
and just whacked it. It just bounced out or whatever.
Yeah,
don't know
I
what
had a
happened.
feeling. I had a weird feeling. Normally, I always shoot at the 7-pin because when I shoot at the 10, my body, the way I bowl, my arm swing comes out. Kind of. I'm not gonna say I'm like Tackett, even though we're top, but like my arm kind of does go out a little bit. It doesn't stay in line with my shoulder. It comes out.
You definitely figure 8.
Yeah. So then my arm comes back in, so I'm on the inside of the ball. So my miss is always left. So I don't normally just like to shoot at the 10-pin just for kicks and giggles, but I had this intuition.
Well, it was on the smaller end of the pit.
Right.
Why not,
Apparently
you
that's
know.
the good side.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until like 3 years ago. And I just, man, I got a feeling. Just got a feeling, like Black Eyed Peas said. And I had a feeling that I was gonna make the 7-10, and I did.
That was pretty good.
It was great.
I think
I was on-
he almost took my arm off.
Oh
afterwards.
yeah, it was fun. Everyone's like,
you
oh,
slapped him
everybody
out?
thought I made the 5-pin on the other end. They're like, maybe you made the 5-pin, didn't know a round of drinks, but no, I made the 7-10. It was cool. Anything with 500 grit looked good. I don't know what you guys used, but I used
did not.
I used the-
500 grit.
Really, I used the urethane ball on the first game. We shot 266, lost jackpot. Thanks, Taylor and Brian. Jerks. He won the whole thing.
They
He
tried
lost
to
that
get
one
the
game.
second 300 of the not just the tournament day, but the entire tournament has only won 300.
Of course, and it's the snowplow by you and Nick Harris. The snowplow heard around the world.
That's right.
But yeah, it was a good time. We came in 9th there. That was a heck of an event. It was a lot of fun. Janelle bowled lights out. She was fantastic. I think she barely missed any spares. I think she just missed splits. I think she left a few splits. That kind of we were actually pretty clean majority of the day. So we actually bowled really well, and almost beat you guys.
Almost.
I'll just say you guys are lucky. Me and Joey didn't hit the scoring pace to the last 4.
You know,
you can make it up in the last 4. I'm telling you, it happened for Nick and I.
We went just about 160 over the last 4.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that means a very bad beginning.
We were even basically all day. I mean, we went 66, 190, 210, 215, 20, 220, 210, 230, 20 or something like that. I don't remember how many games we bowled, but it was just kind of like a
8.
Very mellow day for us, but we kind of just never shot ourselves in the foot. And every time we got into a pinch, we struck. I mean, I watched you guys go 290, 190, 160 or 160, 260, whatever it was. I mean,
we had 2 160s, but we also had a 290.
Yeah, it was. And that pair, you guys, I mean, it didn't matter where you threw it. I mean, you could literally set it down in the gutter, and even if it missed all the pins, it somehow would have backed up out of the pit and friggin' knocked them all over.
I'm pretty sure Nick missed the head pin on one shot.
I don't remember.
You guys sound really, really upset about it.
I'm not upset.
No, you guys didn't win.
I enjoy watching you guys bowl because
just that day though.
Yeah, because when I watch, like, Nick will miss like 5, he'll blow it 5 right, and he'll scream a choice word, and then it's dead flush, and then the next shot, Kyle will yell before it's out of his hand, and it backup ball strike, and then Nick throws a good one.
It's not a backup ball; it's a fallback.
Whatever.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Give me some credit.
If you ever watch Kyle bowl, he complains before the ball's out of his hand.
Which I don't get. Why can't you just stop? You always do that.
Yeah, well, at that
Don't
point,
you know?
that's hard.
Don't you
Right
know?
at that point.
Don't you know, like, oh, this is going to be bad. Throw the ball. And then, it's not like throw the ball. It's like, oh, man. It's literally like you're in your backspace and you're like, oh, no, here it is.
It's pretty close. We were talking last night about feel and how Kenny Hall, may God rest his soul, would say something like, he doesn't believe in feel.
There is no feel. It's all mechanics.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. I can feel every shot coming off my hand, whether it's good or bad. Oh, it's 100% a problem.
I mean,
I wish I could bowl stupid.
Mental problems.
Are you saying that I'm stupid?
Yes.
You take it how you want.
I'll take it.
All right.
I will agree with Kyle,
Sorry,
though.
excuse me.
I have feel. Every shot I feel. So if I'm off, I feel it.
So I also bowled Sammy V's tournament.
Yeah. Did you?
I stunk.
Oh.
I stunk. I could not strike. I couldn't. I was in the pocket the whole day. Couldn't strike at all. So that was fun.
I think I watched you for about 0.01 seconds.
Yeah. How'd you bowl?
I don't remember. I bowled bad the first game. I was angry. Then I bowled out.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was not a good day for me.
But Gene Spienberg won.
Yeah, Gene, good guy. Gene, nice guy. Came up and got his money from the Baker's Doubles the day after. Actually, he's back. He retired. I asked him, "Hey man, where you been?" Because Gene was always a contender. He was always a great bowler.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Hey man, where you been? Like, you all right?" Because he doesn't look sick or anything. But I was like, "Where's he been?"
He looks like he did 10 years ago.
He was like, "Yeah, dude, I just retired, so I can bowl now." And I was like,
retired from work.
Yeah.
He didn't previously retire and then come back into bowling.
No, he was just like, I was so busy, and he's like, I just decided to take a few years off to make sure that I was all set.
Gotcha.
Because now that I'm set, he's like, I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't.
You bowled every weekend.
Yeah, he's like, I can't wait. Yeah, he's been bowling like every weekend.
No, I know. I'm saying he used to bowl every weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
you see him every weekend.
Now he's starting to bowl like every weekend now too. Like I'm seeing that all the events, which is cool because he's a good guy. He was always a good guy. I talked to him. He won my first ever like sport pattern tournament for sure.
And congratulations, by the way, to Brian and Taylor Leclerc for beating us this year at the doubles tournament.
Do you take offense to that? Because like technically you guys are like the most hated people there. So, like, do you take offense that people are just like, we just want to beat these idiots?
No offense taken.
Were you the only team that they beat? Were they the only team to beat you? I think you came in second, right?
We came in third.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a real bad year.
Down
Actually,
here.
last year we took the last cat last. No,
You guys are on a downhill slope.
Yeah.
It's like you guys hit your peak, and now you're hitting like your senior tour days, and you're getting to the edge of like the younger group, and now you're peeling off. I mean, you guys might want to think about retiring from that tournament.
Speaking of retiring, Brian said he might retire now that he won with both of his boys. So he gets one guy out of the loop. Not really. He's not going to retire.
I mean, Taylor and Connor could bowl.
I guess they're okay.
Nah.
But yeah, congratulations to those guys. They shot 289 or something like that.
Don't remember.
289, I think. And then
the highlight the last game was I made the 710.
That's true.
And there was no other noise in that center. I was like the second frame.
I think.
And I was down there, I was all fired up.
You were.
Yeah, I was fired
Congratulations.
up. Thank you. It was a big day for me.
All right.
We got tournament club this weekend.
Oh my God, we got so much to talk about. Yes, we have tournament club. We're bowling on Viper.
Yeah.
38 feet.
I might not bowl. I might bowl. I don't know yet.
I forgot to put my name on the Google Docs.
We'll do it.
I don't know if I'm bowling. I got to bowl.
You're going to the Brockmeyer on Saturday?
Saturday after the rap concert.
and that's shoot. Oh, excuse me, arsenic.
Yeah.
Arsenic.
Don't ask me anything about
on
it.
Wood lanes that are
it's gonna be
quite old.
Pretty excited. I haven't been there in like 6 years. I don't have to drive, which is cool. Shout out to Connie, my man. He's picking me up across gates. It's gonna be great because I don't know if the truck will make it there right now. It's making some noise. I don't want to pull Kyle Haines when we went to East Greenbush and we lost like half the exhaust.
We got there and got back, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Who needs an exhaust?
So
Seriously.
we got to bowl that, and then it depends what time I get home on Saturday or Sunday morning. Depending how far we do or how good we do, and we'll bowl in the Viper.
Yeah, Viper, and we got about
38 feet.
25 entries so far. I think that's a club.
And we've got to do some ball giveaways, and we've got one more event after this.
Yeah,
which I won't be here for.
They're not even going to be here for the banquet.
No, I'm sorry. Janelle has.
Is that Masters?
No, Janelle is bowling in the General will be there. Heyo! Can't wait to shoe up. Bowling shoe up, that is. Janelle's at a regional at Glens Falls that day. I told her because I'm leaving the next few days to go to Detroit that I would go watch her. So I decided to go watch her.
Unbelievable. No commitment to the club. You know what I mean?
I have been at every event, every practice.
I can't say a word.
I won't be at this practice. Shout out to Nick Harris, not to Kyle, because Kyle hasn't shown up to a practice yet. Because he's got to go do wine tasting or whatever you're doing.
It's not even close.
And then,
I guess it's close. But anyway, and then last local thing we'll talk about. Players Tour sign up is out there.
Oh yeah, we did. Did we talk about the Players Tour yet?
Of course, we've talked about the Players Tour a couple times.
Yeah, so we finally got our first event out there. The little registration page is out there. We've got the email going. We've got like 20 or 30 entries already. Upper 20,
almost to 30, yeah.
And we're based off of 60, so that's awesome to see. Thanks to Boulevard for hosting. Thanks for Revolutions for throwing in some sponsor money there, and more exciting news on the way.
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in sponsoring our events, let us know. The Players Tour 518@gmail.com. And then, we'll have 6 tournaments next year with a total of 7 contributing to points if everything goes to the way that we.
I thought it was 5 with 6.
No, 6 with 7. 6 with a 7th added. That is not a tour event, but we'll confirm that for next season. We're going to start calling some centers, getting some scheduling done, and centers on board so that we can get our tour back
and use their
that we used to have.
Thank you.
Like the bathroom?
That too. I need that.
First thing to do at the tournament. All right. So the internet's been a buzz with EJ winning already 2 out of 3. We have 3 done so far, PBA tournaments.
Halfway through the year, everybody said. Wow, 3 events halfway through the year.
Well, they're going to World Series now, right? Is that where they're headed? Yeah.
World
so
Series
that's
like
1
for a
week
month.
Yeah.
It's like a month. Somebody said I'll be in Reno for a month. I was like, what are you gonna do there?
Go to Tahoe, maybe. I guess.
Got a bowl every day though, almost.
Yeah. So yeah, they're gonna once that's over, I think it's basically half the season is over. But but anyway, 2 out of 3 tournaments have been EJ Tackett, which is kind of insane. So he's up to 25 titles over his 14-year career. So people are throwing the GOAT word around.
The greatest of all time, if you don't know what that acronym stands for.
And so I'm wondering, is it too early to tell? Can you give him that title when he's just over half of the amount of titles that Walter Ray had. He had 47.
Now, are you talking greatest of all time with a thumb or greatest all
No,
time?
period. Let's not get into
The greatest player of all time. The most versatile.
thumb or no thumb. Walter Ray has 47 titles. He's at the top of the mantle.
So are you saying that it's title-based, Kyle?
What other statistics would you base it off of?
Well, I'm asking you first.
Yeah, well, I am
I
saying
think it has to be title.
I am saying titles. So what are you basing it off of? What would you base it off of, I should say?
It would either have to be title based or earnings.
Earnings are tough though, because there's been so many years where
It fluctuates depending on later, earlier, and
Or
they probably had more money earlier than they had lost money, and now it's kind of getting a little
Right.
Or
bit
you
better
could
off.
do majors, just flat out majors.
right. And I sent you a picture and I don't have it in my hands, but Walter Ray had 18, I want to say, majors. And
Nope, that is
extra bright today or what? Holy crap!
it could be. I clicked it down.
EJ's.
EJ's 18.
Here we go. That's Walter's.
And how many majors does he have?
He has 8 majors.
Oh, 8 majors.
And 3 PBA 50 majors.
So 8 national stop majors.
I think you can count PBA. 50
Can't count PBA 50 because EJ's 32 years old. But so 8 majors, and then
not disregarding the 50 tour. There are a lot of good players out there, but he's not there yet.
EJ
Can't compare yet.
EJ is also 4 Player of the Year awards. Off
Player of the Year, you could add in.
Did they have that when Walter played bowling?
He's got 7.
Okay.
And then
I don't know how long they've been keeping track of all this stuff. Don't you know?
Sorry,
you're showing your age here, and I don't know.
He was 3 year in a row.
Walter Ray.
96, 97, 98.
Can we get results on who was on the chair
back then? Oh my God!
You should know, Kyle.
Ooh,
We
I
had
know where
PDW.
Anthony's heading.
You had Parker Bone.
I just want to know if the field is larger or short.
Amount of bowlers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I
that'd be
don't care
hard to
about the
tell.
field. I don't care about the players because obviously you had a lot of good players and whatever. But I'm wondering, was that out of 100? Was it out of 50? Was it out of what are you looking at? I mean, because right now we're only bowling with 60, 65. Not saying that EJ Tackett would be beat.
Right.
Just saying if Walter Ray had a longer format with more bowlers.
Well, in the early 2000s,
the formats were also different back then.
In the early 2000s, when Walter was at his peak or maybe mid-peak or whatever, that's when the Microsoft guys took over and they did the exempt field. I don't remember how many that was, though. They did have, only these guys were bowling similar to now. But again, I don't remember what that number was. It can't be much more over
than what they
80 or something, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering if they allowed 100 in, because if your field's 100 and you won 3 times in a row, that's pretty impressive.
But you have Parker and Walter that were bowling in the probably late 80s, early 90s when they started, maybe early 90s when they started. And then you have Earl Anthony, who's got 42 or 45 titles. His career was...
It was 2004, by the way.
What's that? What was 2004?
The exempt tour, 2004 through 2012.
Which were the Microsoft guys. And then Earl Anthony bowled, 60s, 70s through the 80s, and I think touched the 90s a little bit. But his fields back then were definitely...
They were larger.
100-man fields, for sure. So, yeah, there's a different competition at each time. You're beating a lot more guys.
So are you saying that it's between those 3?
Well, we haven't even talked about Belmo yet.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this conversation.
Well, people have said EJ Tackett's the GOAT.
First of all, let's just be clear. The lefties are always better than the righties. They really got to. We have to do a lot.
Did you have Earl Anthony up there?
That's what I'm saying. They always have to bowl better. I mean, to shut the left out, it's a lot easier back then because there were no patterns. Joey Schmo with that mop could be whoops, a little bit on the left side, a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Boom, there goes Earl Anthony.
I have the information for you.
Go ahead, Austin.
Back then, the exempt tour was ever changing.
Ever changing. You
had to win it. You had to win an exempt spot. There was no set number of exempt spots. So, for example, the 08-09 season was 58 bowlers.
Oof. 58. That's low. That's really low.
But the tournament started at like 100, I think they said.
So they added a bunch of PTQs in or something?
They added a TQR, they called it.
Oh.
Tour qualifying round.
Mm-hmm. So
Also called the Rabbit Squad.
Yeah, Rabbit Squad. Yep.
Yeah, Jack always made the rabbit. He's 6 for 6 or something like that.
Is that his stat? Keeps
He
that in
always
his
tells
back
me I
pocket.
never missed a rabbit.
That's right. They also took a lot more guys. Like now
Dude,
it's like
Can
one or
we
two
please
spots,
turn
right?
this light down? This light is gonna blind my eyes.
You
even.
are a little baby.
Well, I have
You'll
to
never
bowl-
make it on in the national media.
That's fine, but I gotta bowl you tonight, and you're trying to sabotage me.
Whoa.
He figured it out. He figured it out.
Because like I literally, when I get done with this, I'm not gonna be able to see the lane, dude.
You guys are bowling each other in the position.
Jesus,
Huh?
does anybody have sunglasses? Because that did absolutely nothing. That is.
All right, you're gonna go full PDW on the broadcast.
I will if I have to, because this is like the
If you
brightest
find
light
natural
next to the
sunlight.
sun.
Mine will auto darken for you.
There you go.
Holy Jesus!
Oh my goodness, it's here every week. I don't know what your deal is.
Dude, I don't know. You got it on extra high.
I don't.
Swear to
It's
God.
on the same exact setting. All right. So the question was, can you even start calling EJ Tackett the GOAT? I don't think it's possible.
Why
mean,
people do it to Patrick Mahomes?
You could for this generation. He's the GOAT of this generation of PBA bowlers.
Are you gonna put eye black under your eyes to be like a football player? Such an idiot.
So much better. Oh my God!
What a moron.
I had an
Welcome,
absolute.
Sealands.
I had a massive headache today when I woke up, and I normally don't wake up with headaches. And you're just fueling the fire right now.
Whatever we can do to win, right, Nick? Brett Groff says, with the small amount of tournaments now versus then, meaning number of tournaments throughout the season, which is like, what, 12, 15?
Mm-hmm.
25 is amazing for EJ, which I can agree with.
My question would be, Kyle, I mean, another stat to throw in there would be winning percentage. Because because if you look at it, Walter Ray could have 17 trillion titles like he does already. But if he's bowled
100 trillion tournaments.
Yeah, because there was more events back then. Now, if EJ's only bowled, let's say 200, and he's got 25, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then that's yeah.
I mean, even
the ratio is a lot lower.
Yeah, this light.
we should be comparing him to Jason Belmonte, not Walter Ray.
Well, I mean, I think it's tough because
he's
Walter
got to pass Jason first.
Right.
Belmo's got 31 titles
Right.
and 7 majors.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
15 majors.
I
Sorry.
agree.
15
but
majors, yeah.
7 player of the years. So he's
Yeah.
up there with Walter Ray.
Mhm.
That's a discussion that you could actually get into the statistics about is Belmo to Walter Ray.
Well, I don't really, why can't they all be on the discussion board?
Yes, they can all be
Well,
on
they
the
can
block.
be, yeah.
Let's
But-
be honest. But Belmo has not really bowled good.
The last
in the
tournament
past
Belmo
few
won
years.
was in 2023.
And we're in
Well,
25.
He might be on his way out.
Well, considering that he skipped a tournament to fly home, maybe there was some personal things going on. I don't know, but
Well, it's a small event.
it's still a national stop.
Yeah, Belmo doesn't worry about that.
It's points.
Yeah, it's also player of the year points. It's everything. He then misses
EJ's
whether
already
they
got
care
3
or not
wins.
though. He now is off for that week the Storm team, so now he can't contribute to the Storm guys. So another thing that we'll talk about later on. But yeah, I mean, of course he wants to bowl and wants to compete and wants to win. You're not just going to skip a tournament for no reason. So maybe there was family issues, or maybe something's up with him.
I'm pretty sure he's made the cash around
Yeah, he's cash.
every tournament he's bowled in this year.
He's cash, but
The
he
thing that
hasn't
we're just
won
not seeing Belmo at the top
TV shows.
like he used to be.
like he used to be.
Now the question is, does EJ? Here's the other thing: is that the lanes back a few years ago had to be a little bit different, right? So now the lanes are different now. EJ matches up with the lane machines or the way the oil patterns are made right now. Not saying that he wouldn't bowl good on other patterns, but what I'm saying is that he obviously matches up to how they're laying out the oil. He uses almost the same ball in the same spot on every single pattern. Not saying that's a bad thing, because I do that too, just not at as good level as he does. But he does change his hand. He does manipulate the ball really well. I wonder if you can't really compare it, because I feel like the lane conditions are completely different from Earl Anthony
Oh, absolutely.
Walter Ray to
Norm,
even to
Belmo.
Belmos to EJs. I mean, you've got older lane surface synthetic. Back when Walter Ray bowled, I'm sure they were a little bit
Brand
newer
new.
or wood. So he didn't. I'm sure they skidded a lot more. You didn't have to move as far left. The bowling balls weren't as
were
supercharged,
also not as strong.
but they also didn't have as much oil back then. Back then they didn't have to use as much.
Especially in Earl Anthony's age, that was
there were no patterns.
7-10 maybe mils of
That's what I'm saying.
oil, maybe a little bit more once you got into the 70s and 80s.
I mean, completely different.
But yeah,
I mean, I guess the only way that you could realistically talk about it is, I mean, guess your winning percentage, but you'd have to look at it as a bowler who can do the most. If you're looking for the greatest of all time, who can adapt to the lanes the best. I mean, that's an interesting conversation. I don't think any thumber has done it better than EJ Tackett, and I don't think any no thumber has done it better than Jason Belmonte. Not saying that Walter Ray couldn't do it, but back in his day, I don't really know. Actually, to be honest with you, I watched Walter Ray. Listen, this is a true story. I bowled next to him in Delaware. This is ridiculous, but it makes my eyes feel
you
so
do
much
look
better.
ridiculous.
I bowled next to him in Delaware, and the guy was playing pretty much dead straight up the lane, like all day. And I mean, he's mashing them. I don't know if he got bored, just like crushing all the under 35-year-old people out there, like just whacking
absolutely destroying them, putting them in their place.
And I'm right next to him,
showing them who he is.
Yeah, and I'm right next to him, like, man. I mean, he does get a lot of hits. I mean, his ball roll must be voodoo because he gets a lot of good hits in there, which is fine. And then like he's whacking them, and then all of a sudden I look over, and I'm pretty sure he moved like 35 boards and starts lofting the left gutter and striking. And I'm like,
I can't even move off this arrow.
I'm like, did he just move like 30 left? I'm bowling the lefty. I'm like, did he just move like 30 left and like loft it and slow roll it? I mean, it wasn't like the guys on tour where you see it's 18 miles. I mean, this was slower.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the rev rate as those guys do. And proceed to shoot like 230. And I'm struggling to shoot like 180. And I'm like, really? But it was literally like he was literally throwing heat-seeking missiles up the lane to 30-board jump left, slow rolling it, still shooting like 220, 230.
Yeah.
So we will talk about versatility. Firsthand, he can do it. I was waiting for the two-handed to come out for him to beat me two-handed.
That would be something.
Like just
all three, just missiles,
blind ball change, just like me right now. Blind ball change into two-handed and roll 260 while I'm over there like, man, I'm just trying to shoot 180.
Still trying to make it wrinkle.
I mean, I was hooking a little bit, but we were on like 46 feet or something. It was kind of wild to watch. But
that's funny.
To be honest with you, with the way the lanes are now, Kyle, I don't see a lot of guys really playing straight. I don't know how often I see EJ play straight. Usually he's got.
Look at even on what did they have Cheetah a couple weeks ago or whatever it was that was short.
They bounce it off the gutter.
They're just jumping left, throwing right.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying that he's obviously has an extremely good hand at the bottom. He can do a lot of different things. He's fantastic. But I guess, like you said, you're gonna have to come down to statistics.
Okay, let's add this statistic again. Outside factors. He's a 9-time world champion for horseshoes.
Walter Ray, right?
Yeah.
He wore the horseshoe jersey when I was next to him.
Kyle sent me the picture of his accomplishments, and that's the only thing I commented on.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No. What, that he's a champion horseshoe player? Yeah, of course. He's playing shoes every day on the Facebooks.
Yeah. I don't watch that. Yeah, he videos everything. It's wild.
Facebook.
Yeah,
he videos absolutely everything.
Yeah, he videos his bowling. He videos his
when we
horseshoes.
bowled the regional, I was like, man, I didn't sign a consent form because I'm bowling so bad. Can you just delete those or
just blur you out, blur your name out?
But yeah, no,
you could have looked like you could have put a bar across your eyes like you have right now, so people couldn't tell you.
I probably would have bowled better there like this because then I'd be like, oh, what arrow am I looking at? I don't know. I can only see 3 feet in front of me. Like I can only see till about right here. So I mean, I can't see the arrows. I probably would have been better off.
I was gonna say maybe that would be good for you.
Maybe I'll bowl like this against you tonight.
Yeah, try it tonight.
I mean, it's not hard to beat Kyle.
What place are you guys in again?
I don't even know. Yeah, no idea.
Team Scaccia squared is
just split.
Fire.
We got absolutely crushed last week.
I hope you're ready for another steamroll because it's coming.
I'll wear my my skinny jeans and
you
clothes.
guys are gonna be thundering like you were the last game at Uncle Sam's
last week, and he absolutely mashed them.
So, back to the debate, Kyle.
Yeah, go.
I think this is gonna be an unpopular opinion, but I don't have to pick myself.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know. I think it's. I really do think it's apples to oranges here, Kyle. It's kind of like the Michael Jordan LeBron debate. I think you were yelling at me before. Could Michael Jordan still play with these guys? And I'm like, dude, Michael Jordan got punched while he was dunking. These guys now, like,
Well, that's true.
LeBron, like, he gets touched by like a fly, and he's like, oh my god, my
Flops,
leg. Then gets up and like dunks it on the next possession. So
that's every sport now.
There's
even,
no
look at Mahomes. In the quarterback. Even so did Brady. He did the same thing.
Well, that debate's over. That debate's absolutely over.
I love hearing. What's his name? Who'd they get this year? The receiver.
Talking about
Devonta Smith, AJ Brown. Are you talking about Eagles?
That's silly. No, I'm talking about KC.
Oh, the super fast guy, Worthy.
No.
All right,
they traded him for. But anyways.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yes, he was complaining about the refs.
Yeah,
he asked if we were going to complain about how the refs treated them.
Yeah, they treated him good. They got beat by like 50. So.
Are you kidding me?
Not a lot.
They've been on their side.
There was a
season.
couple KC players that said that after the Super Bowl.
You could arguably say that that's the reason they made it. I mean, I know that they're good, but I mean,
I will die on this hill. That is the worst 16-1 team to ever make the Super Bowl.
If you were a Bills fan, you were certainly yelling that that's the only reason that they made it. Anyway, so my answer is Walter Ray. You're gonna have to beat his titles. The player of the years are not that far off because EJ's got 8. We said
player of the year.
I'm sorry,
3.
Majors. I'm sorry, majors. That's what I meant to say. EJ's got Walter Ray's got 15. EJ's got I think something like 8.
Well, the greatest bowler of all time is Belmo.
Okay.
EJ's got 8
how
majors.
could you possibly say that?
Walter Ray's got 8
how
majors.
Could I say
EJ
that?
has
how could you
6
not
majors.
Because he still has like 10 plus more wins to go.
Yeah, but majors have to be worth more than regular titles.
He's got 18 majors, dude.
Okay.
15. I think he's got 15 majors.
Those are the hardest tournaments of the
That's
hardest
almost
tournaments.
double what Walter Ray has majors wise.
Like those
That's
are
fine.
Those are the
hear
hardest tournaments.
Okay, you're still bowling against the same guys.
I know, but the conditions,
except for the Masters
typically
and somewhat the U.S. Open.
Typically, the conditions on the majors are more grueling than the everyday national stop. So I feel as if, you look at it, I think, I'm not out there, but I'm saying that I think when the scoring paces are a little bit higher, you're on everybody's really good out there, but the scoring pace is higher. So if somebody can find a little bit more mystery here or there, the lanes are a little bit more conducive for scoring. Listen, it is what it is. You might have a few more people in there that are different than other times. But when they're really tough or where they're really hard, a lot of the times you're going to find the same guys at the top. So, because they're going to be able to shot make, they're going to have a little bit more touch. They're going to be able to make better ball changes. They're going to be the better bowler overall. So if he's got 18 majors, and those are U.S. Opens, the Masters, all the good stuff here. I mean, that's a heck of a resume to have right there. I think that it's kind of like a golf tournament. You look at golf, the guy wins a major, he doesn't play the next event typically. Because what's he going to do that for? It's not the same. It's not the same difficulty. It's a little bit different of a course. I mean, maybe it's hard, but it's a different course. You're just coming off the probably one of the best performances you had. Why are you going to go to a course that where, if I don't play as good, I just won this one. If I don't play as good, somebody else could sneak in because, there's so much smaller gaps and, does it really make it important? I think just, titles overall. Belmo, all PBA titles, don't they count regionals as well?
No, it's a separate line.
Okay, so you do have a separate
Those
line.
were national titles.
And make sure. So I think that if you're going to look at it, I think that Belmo, hands down, is probably the greatest player. And Kyle is so angry with the eye roll. He's the greatest player to have played bowling on the PBA.
I can't agree at all.
That's fine.
I mean, even if you gave an extra point or whatever for each major, he's still behind, or at least tied with.
He would be above
by 1.
Who, Belmo will be happy?
Yeah, like if you made the
my argument becomes better.
He's got 31.
Yeah, but that's not even.
If you
it's
make
still not
majors,
fair to give a major 2 points or whatever.
I'm just saying that is just my
61.
opinion. That's just
right. Well,
that's just my opinion.
Still have to double Walter Ray's,
true.
which would be 16 plus whatever.
Okay, so
Plus,
Walter Ray would technically still have more.
Yeah.
If you're taking into the account the lesser tournaments as well, now
Of course you are.
So, I mean, there's not as many turns. I don't know if there's less majors than there were back in the day because I don't know the numbers on that. But I'm just saying, overall, Belmo has had an incredibly successful stat line. If you're talking about winning percentage and majors, I think I think that's hard to beat. I think he's extremely versatile. I mean, we'll see. I mean, right now he's the greatest, I think, but he still has to have longevity. If he stops having longevity,
Walter was I don't know about well into his 50s, but or maybe late 40s, something like that. And Belmont, again, I don't want to say that he's done, but I
don't think he's done.
No, I'm just saying he's had a 2-year.
He's had bad
slump.
years though.
Of course,
in between.
But not, and again, he's taking tournaments off. It's like, I don't know. It's like we've almost forgotten about him, at least when it comes to the TV shows.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he's there. I mean, he's in. I think that there's a lot of two-handers that are coming up that are pretty good as well.
I also think
he's always there at the cuts. He's always right there in the Masters too. He's never. It's not like he's way back.
I mean, it could.
He's always right there. Nobody wants to bowl him.
It could be age. It could be other things. But I will say that there is a lot more traffic in the part of the lane that he generally uses now.
Yeah, it's a little bit
than there was when he was absolutely dominating.
Yeah, I do enjoy the podcast and the way he talks. I just think that, the way he's carried his business. I just, I know Walter's
you like the way he talks, like hello.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. But I think that just
good eye.
He's got to be the greatest. I mean, I think EJ's on his way, and I think that if EJ can continue this coming up here the way he's bowling now, because I think he's really taken off the past 5 years. Is it 5 years he's taken?
I would be
close to that. Yeah, I think 24.
I mean, he's bombing him every time he bowls. But I also, think, I mean,
what year are we in? 25,
21, 22.
You're purely going off of success here and wins. I don't know if the greatest bowler is like Norm Duke. He
was in third, I think.
The dude could do. You watch him play straight. You watch him hook it. You would see him all over the lane. A lot of the times now,
he won 3 or 4 tournaments 1 or 2 years before he retired.
Yeah. And you look at it now, I mean, a lot of the guys are so far left, even on the TV show. I'm not saying they're one-dimensional, but it becomes they see the same ball motion, they see the same thing. They're all migrating left. Well, I'd like to see some little straighter lines, angles in here. We've seen it a little bit here and there. Don't
see some different stuff.
But when you watch, like they said, look at the versatility of Andrew Anderson on Instagram the other day. Not to go off on a side tangent here, but you watch, look at the versatility. And he stood in the same spot and threw it the same arrow every single time on 4 different patterns. So what does that tell you? And that's a major too. That's another.
He's versatile. He's able to make every pattern play the same.
Good. So I'm not saying that he's not versatile. I'm just saying the post was kind of just jokey. Like, all right, dude, he's playing the same line.
Maybe it was a joke.
Was it a joke?
It was definitely sarcasm.
I didn't see it.
I didn't take it as sarcasm.
Oh, I did.
There was no like it literally wrote, look how versatile he is.
There's no way they actually meant that he was versatile.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him. But anyways, I'm just saying they funnel to the same spot. You look at Norm Duke, I know I'm going to throw him in just because you could watch him play dead straight up the gutter. Then he could hook it. Then he could do this. Then he could do that. So, now what I'm seeing is everybody's left.
So his last win was in 2019, and those last couple of years, and maybe even that tournament in particular, I think guys were starting to jump in and go left. And what does Norm Duke do?
Tricked it and stayed straight.
He jumps right, and throws it literally an arrow at the head pin, just dead straight with a little bit of tweak at the end.
Yeah.
But that's Norm Duke. That was his game. But then you would also see him go 15 left.
Yeah.
And hook it. So versatility, definitely the older guys. I think you're right. I think you make a good point. The older guys, I say older, meaning previous generation, if you will, they definitely did have more versatility. The lane patterns didn't play like hook every time.
You got to remember the synthetics might have been newer back then.
Yep.
So that's a big thing.
If you haven't replaced them, and stuff too.
Yeah, if you haven't replaced them, you know what I mean? If you haven't replaced them since those times when those guys were there, I mean, now there's so much hook.
Now they're all 20 years old with thousands of games on them.
And all the younger generation now has to learn how to play left quicker because that's just what happens. I mean, you watch EJ Tackett. I watched him on the show the other day. The amount of, I don't know, I want to call it touch, but the way he can just maneuver the ball to strike, and he uses the same ball in every pattern, and he just changes his hand a little bit, which is another important thing. Because
but you can see his hand change.
Yeah, no, I know.
You can see him strap on it, and you can see him go through it,
and you can see him change the way he kind of comes through the ball.
Right.
Like he did change it a little bit. It looked because it wasn't his normal release. I didn't think this weekend where we normally saw him just absolutely whack it. He was doing a little bit of different stuff with his hand.
But again, like you said, I'd like to see these guys
I don't know if you can play them straight.
Well,
because I know that's where you're going with this.
yes,
I don't know.
I'd like to see.
I don't know if you could get the guy straight playing. The only time, even when we went to the Masters, they put out like 47 feet or whatever they did with no oil the outside. The good guys still played way far left,
right,
and kept it. Kept 10 was the gutter.
Well, I guess you'd have to really create a tournament that between the oil and maybe even forcing certain ball choices and not allowing the high end, no sanding, stuff like that.
I guess.
But maybe that would do it. But yeah, I'd like to see guys be able to go straight down the board, and I know that they can. We know that they can.
Yeah, it's just
but we don't get to see it.
Yeah,
but like there's the tournament out west, right? That they just flood the lanes completely.
The Bradley Bowl, and they all throw it at the head pin. Basically, they all hit their ball like 80 grit.
Yeah,
they ruin the ball just because they got to get it to hook a little bit, and it's just hand oiled like 55 feet or something. Yeah, it's wild ride. But I don't know how you play that. I don't know if they're actually trying to shape the ball, if they're trying to trick it,
rockets,
or are they just trying to keep it in line and really slow rolling it. I don't really know exactly how that operates. But,
right.
I mean, I'd like to see, some skill involved, obviously, instead of just, we'll throw it really slow and see what happens. I don't know how it is. So if somebody has any information, let me know. Maybe there's some YouTube. There got to be some YouTube.
I think you got to throw it two-handed with 20 grit.
I think Eric Jones, he won last year. Or he won this year, and he came in second the year before last year, whatever it was. He went like 1-2 or something like that. And then, Brad Miller won this year. Yeah, wild.
Oh, that's right. I do remember seeing that now.
That pattern, though, that tournament's really good for him because
he's slow.
He loves being in the middle, and he rolls it.
He slow rolls it. He's good at that. He doesn't have to try and force it.
Fluffs it.
That's the other thing.
You look to the right of the head pin.
You look at Brad Miller. I think Connor said, you look at Brad Miller's game. He's a pretty good shot maker. If he bowled 20 years before, he'd be pretty darn good. But now in today's game, he's rev deficient. He can't move left with these guys and rev it up on it. In reality, he's like Tang. He's got to. I hate to say it, but if
you want to keep up,
you got to take your thumb out and you got to try and rev it up more to get left better, to get better pin carry. I mean, it's just that's how the lanes are kind of played out there. It's interesting conversation. Belmo is still the greatest though.
Not possible.
I've seen Belmo play straight. I've seen him hook it. I've seen Walter Ray do it, but I feel as if Belmo has a pretty good track record.
But I do agree with Anthony. I think Belmo's
got a good track record.
The best ever.
Let's see him prove it.
Prove it. All right.
Finish his career and get up there in the numbers.
I do. I had, they did the Specto. They didn't have Specto, I don't think, when Walter Ray was in his prime. But they looked at Belmo, and he was like, when he was aiming at something, he was like, his average miss was like less than a board.
Yeah, hitting dimes out there.
Yeah. And then you add in he's got pretty good knowledge on the bowling balls. And then you add in, he doesn't have a thumb, and he's actually got a little bit more touch than most two-handers have. He's able to manipulate the ball a little differently.
He's got way more touch than a lot of guys.
So you talk about, you look at like Simo. They call him the jack of all trades, I believe, or the Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife. That's
I don't know. I've seen him. Usually when he's bowling good,
maybe it's just because he can throw it back up.
The rev rate saves.
He can get he can get straight up the lane pretty good, and that's usually when you see Simo score. I don't know if I've seen him really score going around it on the show or anything, because you're talking about wins now. He's got an opportunity as well to be. I mean, he's so young. He could also surpass all these people because he is. But I'm just saying, like, you look at Belmo versus Simonson, and I feel as if Belmo can do, at his prime, and maybe he's still in it. He had you could see his touch a little bit more versus where Simon, I don't see it as much. I'm sure he has his tricks and his stuff, but you don't see it as much on TV, where Belmo, you can tell, kind of like EJ. You can tell when they're doing
watch it happen in real time.
Yeah,
I
don't know. That's just
he can definitely play straight, and he obviously can hook it.
Yeah, and Simo's, dude, you go to the hard tournaments, he bombs them every year. He crushes them every year. He's
always up at the top, U.S. Open and Masters, and
the U.S. Open, or was it the U.S. Open where he led by like 400 pins?
I remember, but I don't remember which tournament it was.
It was the Open. He literally led 2 years by like 300 pins from the next player.
Yeah.
So you talk about a guy who's also, as soon as he starts to come back and win, because everybody has, their
little slumps
or whatever.
Sure.
But it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Sorry, Kyle. What are you gonna say? We got Belmo. You got two people with Belmo, and you're a thumbless hater. So let's see where you're going.
I'm a Walter Ray guy all day. Walter Ray is currently the GOAT. Until you can prove it otherwise on paper.
What do you want on paper?
Total wins.
All right, so that's
he did it across multiple decades.
That's fine. Yeah, I like it.
multiple
pick.
lane surfaces, multiple pattern types, multiple bowling balls.
You know, yeah, I mean, Belmo probably, yeah, he throws multiple bowling balls too.
No,
bud.
you know what I'm saying. Multiple bowling ball equipment lines, like
Generations.
generations, right? Like early 90s, where they were just really getting into strong resin, and then 2000s.
So you're gonna penalize Belmo because of his
I didn't say
age and
penalize. I'm just
because he
saying
didn't
that
get to choose his born date.
you've got Walter Ray, who's been
So what?
through the 80s, 90s ish, all the way to through the 2000s. So he's seen basically everything in his lifetime as far as bowling goes, for the most part. Probably just not
See a
manual
lot of the
setup pins.
technological advancements.
Yes.
So what would your argument be against he's flat out just had the ability to bowl more tournaments?
Well, I guess he has. I mean, he stopped bowling around whatever it was, 50 or something like that, right around that time
but they
frame.
just flat out had more events back then, didn't they?
They did. I don't know about the two. Well, there was also the slump of the 2000s and whatever, where they, the Microsoft guys kind of screwed everything up. And I don't know if they had, I forget how many tournaments they had those years, but yeah, definitely early on in the 90s and stuff, they had way more tournaments in 80s and whatnot. But
Davey P with a great
he
comment.
still has gone across multiple decades, multiple lane types, oil pattern types. I mean, he's probably since the lane machine's been used, he's probably bowled on every single PBA pattern.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
That's ever been made.
That's cool.
I'm just saying.
I mean, so that just makes him better because he was born earlier.
What do you want me to say?
I'm just asking. I'm just throwing it in there. I mean, I we're chatting about it.
I know, but I mean,
sure,
it's not anybody's fault when they were born, but yeah, he's been able to bowl. Like, I haven't bowled, on the old wood, old oil type patterns with old bowling equipment. By old, I mean current at that time, but old now.
Question. Now I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into this.
Sorry, and he's been successful with all of those things.
I'm going to throw a monkey wrench
Go ahead.
into this. Are you ready for this, Kyle?
I can't wait.
Remember how we talked about less oil was more conducive for more different styles of play?
Mm-hmm.
So back then he bowled with less oil.
Yeah, but how do you do on that 46-foot pattern that he bowled with cross next to you?
Oh, he bowled good. But I'm just saying, I mean, less oil. He didn't have to move as much. He didn't have to make as many ball adjustments. Maybe does that play a factor into your thought process? Obviously, the lanes adjust. I'm not saying they don't.
Tournament,
but I'm just throwing it out there. Where if we're saying, we've talked about it, where less oil means people can move a little bit more here and there. The lanes don't break down as much or blow up, especially with newer lane surface. So he didn't have to move as much. So if he was able to play, not saying that EJ Tackett doesn't play his A game every time he does on the boat, but I'm just saying if he doesn't have to move really or change balls, I mean, does that factor your decision at all, or does that cross your mind, or you think that's irrelevant and the game is the game and he moved more than we think he moved, or more than I think that maybe he
had to move? I mean, I've seen him bowl all different parts of the lane like Norm Duke used to.
Trust me, I saw it too firsthand. Beat me by 60 a game.
Maybe tournament to tournament, you could be right where the lanes don't drastically change like they do now. But over, this tournament, he might be playing straight. This tournament, he might be hooking it, et cetera, et cetera. So, but maybe you're not having to transition from 5 to 25 in a block. First arrow to sixth arrow or fifth arrow in a block. But he's able to do all of that. And he did do it in one block.
Yeah,
against you.
Now I have another question, Kyle. If you're looking at the greatest of all time, not everybody's going to be able to replicate this, obviously, because everybody has different skill levels. But if you were to teach a two-hander how to bowl, who would you mimic your game off of?
I'm just trying to think. If not Belmo, who? But it's
Belmo.
It's Belmo every
he's
time.
Physically it's perfected almost. Like it's great.
I don't think anybody gets the ball through their swing and then forward through their swing, back and forth, as clean and as unobstructed, whatever.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
His game looks the best. His game
looks
the best
extremely natural.
Yes. Now, you see some two-handers like, ugh,
yeah, right.
That looks a little bit weird. Now, if you were going to teach a one-hander how to bowl, would you teach them to throw it like Walter Ray?
These days, no, of course not.
Back in the day, even in his prime, would you be like, hey, you got to throw it like this guy?
Well, okay, now that's a whole nother subject because nobody threw it like Walter Ray ever.
What do you mean by that?
you know what I mean. I don't even know how to describe for people that don't. I mean, I assume our viewers and listeners know who Walter Ray is, and have seen him bowl, but I don't think there's anyone that bowls like that.
I'm just
where he pops up super hard at the line, and kind of yanks on it.
Mika would be the closest one.
No, because Mika's way smoother.
It's just funny because you talk about this conversation here, and your Tackett's super smooth. I think figure 8 swing. He's got a nice game.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, he's not smooth, but he throws it well. You watch Walter Ray. A funny game, but it only matters how many you throw. It doesn't matter how. It only matters how many. Then you watch Belmo bowl, and you're teaching all the 200s bowl how Belmo bowls. So it's interesting to see you're talking about the greatest of all time, where you're like, yeah, bowl like this guy, the two-handed guy, bowl like Belmo, and then it's like Walter Ray. Maybe you should throw more like Doug Kent, or, this guy. But
smoother.
It's a little different. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to talk about. I don't know.
That's 100% a good point.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter though.
Right. What does everybody say? What's the saying?
It's
not how.
It's how many. That's what I said, and I completely agree. So it's funny just.
But yes, if you're teaching someone, you would never be like, throw it like this guy.
You got to throw it like this. Watch this guy. Like, man, that guy's good. But then if you watch Walter Ray and you're like, yeah, he's got like 200 titles, you'd be like, huh? What? He's got more titles than this guy? Not in a bad way, because obviously he's fantastic. But it's different because that's a good point to bring up. Like, if you're going to, who do you want to throw the ball? Like Tom Brady or the hefty lefty?
But this, you ain't
going to throw like the hefty lefty.
Joey's got a comment here that he said, don't forget about Earl Anthony, Dick Weber, Mark Roth. We are not forgetting about them at all, especially Earl Anthony, who's got the second most titles. Those guys didn't have the technology of today. And I totally agree. And that they made their own ball motion, like you said. But my point is, I think Walter Ray bowled across all of that. Maybe just missing.
What about Weber? Come on. What about PDW?
Dick Weber's got more titles, I think.
I don't care. How many majors? I'm only about the majors. The other titles,
I looked it all up this afternoon, and then
I don't care about your regular titles. Yeah, I want to know majors.
Weber is 4th on the list with 37.
How many
Pete
majors?
beat his dad.
Yep.
Oh, okay, my bad. I got it backwards.
Does PDW have?
How many majors?
Ooh, I don't know.
PDW.
Oh, okay. We'll look that up. Beep, 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 beep. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there as a conversation starter.
But my point was to Joey's comment was that Walter Ray experienced all of it, and he was successful. He didn't let the new technology get to him, or ruin his game or career. He adapted and was able to still make it work. And maybe it's just because of the style of his game, or maybe he's just really good. I don't know. I mean, he obviously is really good.
PDW had 10 majors.
10 majors.
5 U.S. Opens.
How many majors?
He was the U.S. Open king.
How many majors does Walter have?
8, I believe.
8 majors. See, now that's where I think PDW could be better than Walter. I mean, hey.
I guess so.
Holy cow! PDW had 49 regional titles.
Yeah, Pete was good, man. I mean, Walter's got like 1 trillion. To be fair, he's probably got like 150, right? Can you find that? Well, I think he's legitimately has like over 100 regional titles too, which is insane. But you're talking. I don't know, man. It's tough. I think you got to go by majors. I think that's the best way to go by it. That's my personal opinion.
Dig Fidge says, when it comes to technology, Belmo has won with plastic, urethane, and reactive.
They used to have that plastic skill ball challenge, so I don't know if that's when he won with it or not, but I don't really know.
Was that the Geico ball?
And you got to remember too, Walter Ray has won with weight holes and without weight holes. I think Belmo has.
Belmo has also, yeah, for sure,
definitely. But I was just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, all right, weight holes, because you're talking about cross
two-handers could cheat with the holes.
Why would you say that?
Their thumb. They had the thumb hole and a weight hole.
I don't know if any pro actually put the thumb hole in it though. I don't know if they actually did. I don't know how that all happened. I know they put the weight hole in. I don't know if they actually put the extra thumb hole in.
Like if it was a thing to even be concerned with, did the guy actually drill a thumb hole and a weight hole?
Or was it just they were just like, oh, we should probably make sure that they don't do that.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. I mean, I know a few guys who did do that actually. I think Spark had a high road or a high road pearl. Spark, Spark.
Dorenzo?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he had a thumb hole in it. He got it from somebody with a weight hole in it, and that thing hooked a mile because he doesn't use his thumb.
Yeah.
And then
he has 67 PBA 50 regional titles.
Just PBA 50?
Walter Ray?
That's what it says here.
Yeah. He's at so many titles.
It's nothing about the national tour regional titles. I don't know if he bowled regionals then or not.
He bowls
He had to
regionals.
have,
He
yeah.
bowls a lot of regionals. I think he
There
just
is
bowls.
no
He's a
number
bowler.
on it.
Yeah, he is a bowler for sure.
He bowlers bowl. He bowls.
And he's a shoe man.
Yeah, it's a tough decision, Kyle. But I'm gonna disagree with you. We're going Belmo. He's got the most. I think he's got the most majors.
All right.
So I'm going with that.
We got to talk about.
Yeah, the league real
We
quick.
got to talk about the league because this has to do with what Anthony was talking about with strategy.
Go
Wait,
ahead.
hold on a second. All right, go ahead.
Go ahead. Such a jerk.
All right. So back when we first talked about this before the season started, Anthony was very non-agreeant to the fact that there was strategy involved.
Oh, what? Strategy should always be involved.
Are you talking about the league?
Yeah.
You're talking about the league, right?
Yeah.
The Elite League. Why are you staring at me like that?
I don't
we're
think-
talking about the Elite League.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
Okay.
was one of his biggest complaints was that they're just going to throw people on teams and that's it.
Yeah, it's stupid. They should not do
All
that.
right.
It should, but I'm not saying that they should only have 5, but they shouldn't have the whole friggin' tour on it.
Oh, right. Now I
That's
remember.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that you should have 6 people where you can sub out one guy a week, and if somebody gets injured, you can drop and add. That'd be way more appealing to me instead of everybody on. That's what I mean.
Rich,
All right.
Rich, you should go watch some videos of some old school bowling and watch Walter Ray.
Yeah,
and
Rich.
see who else was back then?
So-
PDW.
You're too young to even know who those guys
yeah.
were.
Anyway,
how to
watch
spell
some
those
old
people?
videos.
All right. So
Most greatest.
this week's headlines, in my opinion, is with Hammer. They are in 6th in the competition right now. All right.
Not good because that's out of 8, 7, 8.
8.
Yeah.
Their 2 highest finishers this week. Just want to make sure I have it right here. 17th and 17th.
Tied for
No, they're
17th.
tied 7th. Sorry. That's a T, not a 1.
Okay, I like that. That's cool.
Tie 7th. But they had a guy come in 6th.
But they weren't on the team,
They
right?
weren't on the roster.
Weren't on the roster.
So back to Anthony's point. Mark 1 for me. Bing. Stupid.
So,
No, I think that's going against your point because that
well,
is
no, he's just saying his point was that it's stupid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 point for me because it's stupid. So 1 point for me being right. Again.
But I'd have
Don't worry,
liked it
PBA.
that
Call me. I'll fix it
the
for you.
PBA is actually making posts about it, trying to push it and pushing the storyline of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And every week they post an all snub team. And I will say Hammer has been in it a lot.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Do we remember who's running Hammer?
No, but
We
apparently,
looked it up before. I
apparently
just
they're not doing great, I guess.
not good. Not a good
See, that's
coach.
that's where I just differ from. It doesn't make sense. You're gonna this guy. Listen, you got 65 guys, whatever it is. Each team has like one team's got 12, one team's got 6, one team's got 8, one team's got 12. Okay, each team gets 6 players. One guy's a reserve, or you 7, 2 players reserve, and that's it. And then if you're a free agent, you get certain ads or trades.
I think they were capped at 10 apiece.
It's unbelievable.
I
No,
believe.
they're not capped.
No, they
because
were-
Storm
they-
has like 15
no,
players.
They had a
Brunswick
minimum.
also has 15 players or something like that. I'm just saying, like I said, the strategy is stupid because then you get pretend results about the best team. It's not real.
Well, I mean, in all reality, Motive just has to pick EJ every week, and then you just get automatic.
That's
Well,
fine.
wins.
Right.
It's no different than fantasy football.
Exactly
same
my
thing.
point. But fantasy's pretend.
It's true.
It's pretend. You can pick anybody from anybody on any team that you want. This is like they're actually trying to make like a. Now I know some people don't like F1, but the Constructors Cup. You have 2 drivers with a reserve driver. That's all you need. You don't need. Hey, we need Danica Patrick this week on our roster, but she's never gonna race. But what's the point of having that guy there? It should be 6 players or 7 players, 5 play a week, and then if you want to add, drop, or trade. It doesn't matter what team they're on, as long as they're on the Brunswick logo, they're able to move. But there's no trades. You'd have to add, drop, and you can't drop a player and then add him the next week for the other team. It would just have to be into a player pool with a waiver wire, which is kind of like fantasy football, but it's not as gimmicky. It's more like this is your steady team every week, and you have the reserve guy. Okay, Belmo's flying home. Cool. We have the reserve guy for that.
Right.
He's the reserve player. Instead of, well, Belmo's leaving this week, so the other 8 guys on our roster, yeah, this guy looks good. But now DV8 has 8 players, but Storm has 8 on the bench.
Right.
I rest my case. Bing, 2 points for Anthony. I don't get it. I'm sorry, Austin. I'm sorry.
I get it. I just don't agree, but that's
Then
fine.
what's
Not
the
agreeing
point?
is fine.
Let me take my phone off.
He's taking his visor off.
It's super bright. I just don't understand the point of it. It makes 0 sense to have everybody on the team. It makes 0 sense to me. If you're gonna do
it's
it,
almost like they're doing participation trophies. Like, oh yeah, you made the team,
well,
but it's like,
or it has to be
did
even
you?
across, it has to be even across the board. That's why I'm saying you can have your 65 player field, and then you can have these are our 6 guys who are exempt, and they're gonna be in every week. And that makes sense. And then, okay, the 1 guy's a reserve. That way you don't have to worry about it. Oh, injury. Well, he goes on the IR. You can add a guy from the player pool who's also exempt, so you don't have to miss a player. And then you have your 6th with the IR, and then the guy goes in. That way it's steady every week instead of, well, here's our all snub team. Listen, you can go to your all snub team at the end of the year and tell me that they would have won, because then that would make a difference, because then it's all pure luck on who you pick. That's fantasy football. That is pretend. That is not real.
Well, to your point is that when you're trying to pick, and I guess this has to do with the strategy of the coaching or whatever, but when you're trying to
they
pick,
literally do polls to who plays.
right? Well, each captain or whatever they're called does it a little differently. Some do polls, some actually take it seriously.
It's not serious at all. So
I'm just saying
why do
some captains take it seriously.
Understand. But to me, when you're posting all snub team, that's like,
It's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that's like, oh, look how bad this guy picked this
Right.
week because you have 70 million people on the roster. Well, when it should have been, well, this team played good. Yeah, the reserve player didn't play good this week, so maybe he'll be in next week. But that's one guy, not, well, you had 6 on your roster that would have beat this guy. Look how bad he bowled and look how good he bowled.
Right.
That's the other thing. You're kind of throwing some, they say,
Throwing shade
at the players. And it's like, I'd be like, F you, dude.
Yeah.
I'll call the social media guy out. I don't care.
But yeah, like I do see what you're saying is you should have your 5 or 6 guys
I'll call him right out.
that you pick, and that should be your team.
Yeah, that's your team.
Right. But
And you get injuries,
now
you can flip
they're
around a
also
little
they're harming themselves
Well, I think-
because they'll be like, all right, well, these 3 guys like it like short, and these 3 guys like long, so we're gonna swap them. But then what if they destroy them? You know, and totally shoot
You don't
lights
get
out.
points. You
Oh,
pick
I
the wrong
understand that, but if they just had a solid team, like, you know, a high school, not comparing a high school team, but
But
like
then
just like
why?
any other sport, you just have.
Then it would just be the same exact elite league. You're just going through the tournaments at that point.
It's not the Elite League because the Elite League was Bakers and they did extra stuff. This isn't extra, so it's completely different.
In the finals, they'll do that.
The finals are Bakers this year?
Mhm.
The finals is Bakers this year.
Yeah, when they're all done with the season, they're gonna do the Elite League finals, and they're gonna have they'll have to pick their Baker team
Oh my God, my head hurts.
because they have to compete against each other. Why is that a bad thing?
Because it's called DUMB. Third, mark another point for me. Now Storm's got 15 players. Now they got to weed out 10.
Oh, right. Yeah.
and
yeah.
now DV8's got 6 or 8, and now they got to weed out 3. Bing. Point for me. It would make sense if it was 6 with your reserve, then all those 5 guys have to bowl. Now it's the guys you bowl with all year. Instead of, well, you bowled one event, so, and they get to pay the guy, right? The brands pay how they want.
Oh, you're right. Of the 100,000 or whatever it is.
Thanks
Yeah.
for playing one time.
Yeah. I got
There's
it.
your $5.
Got it.
Instead of, hey, you did it all year. Here's your 20,000.
Right.
Because you bowled all year. You might have missed one because you had to fly. You got injured, but you were still you were a key part of the team. Instead
Right.
of, well, the manager really sucked this year and you bowled really good. Sorry, you didn't get
Yeah,
more
and,
money.
and how about, you've got a team of 5. What DV8's not even going to be close anyway because they're dead last. But
Yeah, whatever.
you got a team of 5. That 100,000 gets dispersed evenly, or, well, I guess it would be dispersed
Just say
evenly.
everything was even.
But you have a team of 10.
Now it's less.
Now you're.
It should always be the same across the board. And then
Yeah.
that builds the dramatic storyline because now it's like, now you're throwing it at the manager. Like who play, obviously baseball, more players, football, more players. But when you're doing a battle of brands, you're more replicating F1. So F1 is two drivers. I think they might have a reserve, maybe an extra reserve, but then it's based upon the performance of the team. Well, now it's how does this manager pick his team every week? That becomes fantasy bowling. It's not. It's actually not the battle of the brands. It's fantasy bowling. Bing. Another point added to my total.
I mean,
Well,
they
that's
are
the whole
bowling for the
point.
brand, but
they are, but they're
But
not
that-
though,
but
because
I
then it
think
becomes
that's the
who
whole
wins
point of
or
it
who
is
gets
because
picked.
that fantasy anything is huge.
Mhm.
I mean, people just like to gamble.
Yeah, it's cool.
It brings viewership. I think that's why they're doing it this way, because the way they were doing it before only brought fans to Bayside. That's it.
Yes,
that is true.
But I think if you still did it my way, you still get the same results.
Oh, it's in.
With
I'm not denying that the results would be in
The
any
results would-
different or
yeah, instead of an all snub team, you'd have like, hey, this guy's overperforming. I mean, I guess it's whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But I just think it's silly to have the whole league in it.
well,
Sorry,
I think that's the whole
it's just
point
silly.
is to get rid of drafting people and
Yeah, that was
include
pointless.
the whole exemptor.
Drafting was
That
dumb.
was pointless. Yeah, but I understand that, but then you still you have more Storm players than Roto, more Storm players than DV8, more Brunswick than who's the other
Yeah,
guy?
but
Than
they're-
Track or Track's not
Once
even
they
in it.
once
No,
they pick,
Hammer and
they have
DV8.
one trade. That's it.
That's
They can't just randomly pull someone halfway through the year.
my God. That is
Unless somebody
literally-
gets hurt, I think.
That's literally being another point for me. Trading is the dumbest thing because you literally pick who bowls where.
Yeah, I don't know how you would even trade.
It makes no sense.
I still never
Unless
got
it's within-
any clarification on whether it was trading in the same brand to get like a player that's not on the team yet,
Kyle, I take it
or
you
if
didn't
it's
plug my
trading
battery in.
between,
You should probably plug it in.
or if it's trading
I did plug-
between
oh, I didn't plug it in.
brands.
Right.
Sorry, getting this plugged real quick. Hopefully the battery lasts on that.
Yeah, and the trades thing is silly as well because nobody's gonna trade.
Well, like I said, I
Especially
don't even
between
know
brands.
what
They're
the
not
trade
gonna-
is.
So you have a contract with your brand. You can't
I
be
don't think
traded
it's in
that
between.
quickly.
Now that I think about it, it's got to be
It won't happen.
trading someone out of your roster and bringing someone from the same company in from the out of roster.
But
How
like
can you
Anthony
do
said,
that?
they're-
Everybody's in. Everybody gets a trophy. So how can you trade? You can't trade unless you legitimately say Brunswick to DV8, DV8 to Brunswick.
Mhm.
Then that becomes silly too, because now
Unbelievable, Deke.
is there collusion where Brunswick's going really bad,
Collusion.
but this Cam Crow kid's killing it, and Brunswick is in second. So let me put Cam Crow on Brunswick because we want our team to do the best.
Mm.
Oh, so DV8's in last. Who cares about them? So we'll give a guy who's performing well to Brunswick for the year. Then it's kind of like, I mean, I guess you could fire somebody in F1. And that's what I'm comparing it to because that's, in my opinion, the closest thing to it. You can fire somebody, but then you have to go to the reserve driver and then the free agency pool. You can't pull. Maybe you can because I think Red Bull and
Yeah, but you also
Alpha.
gotta remember,
What is it?
There's millions in F1, so there's going to be a lot more stringent rules and regulations.
I don't understand what that means. You're still trying to make it like legit. So why would you not take it as serious or have as many rules, even if, regardless of the money factor, the PBA needs a solid program. They're not just gonna be like, well, let's roll this out, and
Well, and that's
they're not gonna do that. It's got to be. There's got to be rules.
They
gotta
will
be
do
this.
that because that's what they do with this league all the time. You know, they've changed it a couple times. Just to try, they're going with the wind just
The
to try to
longest it's been the
figure
same,
out.
I think is 3 years. right?
Yeah, like they're sticking their finger in the wind to try to figure out which way the best way to go is with
Yeah.
the league.
They're throwing spaghetti at the wall,
Yeah, and
which isn't a bad
but
thing.
if you keep changing, people aren't going to pay attention or care. Back to
okay.
greatest of all time. Bone Steel did the math while he was watching. And found that EJ has the best win percentage of available tournaments, 8.2%.
There we go. Thank you. That's interesting to hear. I think that was something that we did talk about is winning percentage.
Right? Yeah, you brought that up.
So I mean,
I
that
think that's a big factor.
8.2 is really good.
Yeah.
I would.
Do you still have the same opinion?
I have a leaning now. You know, I'm leaning. I'm still in Walter Ray's corner.
You're telling me you
But
got informed and
I'm
now
just-
things are changing?
Well, isn't that how that works? But I'm in Walter's corner, but I'm peeking over to EJ's turnbuckle.
So what
No.
what if Walter is the lowest out of the three though?
Yes. Let me ask you this.
Oh,
Bones, did you get?
holy crap. 1,500 tournaments?
Is that PBA or is that PBA and regional?
It's probably both.
Oh,
It's probably
so
all together.
so Belmo has to have a better percentage than
Belmo doesn't bowl
Walter Ray.
regionals.
Yeah, but so
Yeah, but
Bone
what I'm
Steel, we
getting
just,
at is
hang on. We
Belmo
need
has to
Bone
have a
Steel to
higher-
clarify if 1,516 tournaments
It's
is
got to be everything.
regional and national or just
No,
national.
it can't
That's
be.
a lot of tournaments.
It's got to
But he
be.
bowled for 30 something years.
Well, okay, what's 30 times 15?
And EJ, how could he possibly have 500 tournaments over 14 years?
Wow. Whoa. From
PBA tour from
1970.
1970. Interesting. All right. Well, listen, it is very far over time. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Good
We got a lot of viewers today just tuning in to hear Anthony's opinions as per usual. But yeah, so Walter Ray is the greatest of all time currently.
He's got it all on paper.
with a lean to EJ because he's got the highest win percentage.
I'm doubling down on the Belmo conversation now because there's no shot Belmo's even close to as many tournaments as Walter Ray is, and he's got 31 titles.
Yeah, we need a point button now. Can we do that like the show did back in the day?
Ding!
Like you get a point if you have a good and we can have
Ding.
a battle. Yeah, we can have a battle one day.
All right.
Belmo's
so Belmo
5.7
5.7 with 539.
I mean, that's quite a bit. I mean, hey, that is quite a bit different from 8, but still, I mean, that's 5.7 is, that's not really close, I guess.
Wait,
Sorry, EJ was 303.
that's what I was going to say.
303
I was going
for
to say,
EJ.
okay, that makes more sense.
That's interesting. Interesting stat to have there, Kyle. So I'm guessing that Walter Ray is the lowest winning percentage.
Yeah, has to be.
Listen, when you bowl that many tournaments,
Okay, no, I'm just making sure. I mean, that's a lot.
1,500 tournaments. They also had tournaments back then, which was nice. Anyway,
I don't
so,
even know if I've bowled 100 tournaments in my life.
I hope so.
No, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. That was a great topic. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get alerts from the channel. And if you can't watch live, you can always download and listen via your favorite podcast service. Like us on Facebook and Instagram and X and all those fun places. Check out the latest reviews on YouTube. Austin has been doing all of the work because my computer is currently getting repowered up. So hopefully he can continue.
Killed it, getting a facelift.
Exactly, dude. He bowls more than God himself. And play shoes. Like, where does no? I don't know.
Walter
where
was 3%. Yep, Belmo's a goat.
Thank you.
No.
Austin and I. Boom.
No, EJ. If you're going by win percentage, is the GOAT. He has 8% win percentage.
I also throw majors in there.
Anyway, so what else do I have to say? Watch the latest reviews on the Equinox
Please
and
watch.
the Rockstar.
Kyle
You have another
and
one
them.
coming out?
No, that's the Rockstar is the
I think
latest one
next month,
announced.
right?
It's the Rockstar comes
Okay.
out, I guess, this Friday. Highly recommend. If you like a phase 2, need a little bit more down lane. Highly recommend that ball.
And very soon we're going to be diving into Open Championships and practice and stuff like that because it is just a couple of weeks before the opening shot is thrown in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Very cool. Maybe we can get Lefty on here for some technical talk on how to pick your bag.
All right. So thank you to Jack Scaccia, proprietor of Town and Country Lanes, Anthony Scaccia for the pro shop and your time tonight. You are just unbelievable. Austin, great show tonight.
Austin, thanks for everything you do.
Tune in next week. Thank you, Stephanie, Zach, and Ethan.
Chambred.
We will see you guys. This is Down Lane Podcast.